The lake water was ice cold, but it was summer. I never liked camping, not really. I used to lie and say I did, nod along when my college friends talked about hiking packs and freeze-dried meals, and disconnecting from the world like that was a luxury. But I always hated the quiet. It wasn't peaceful to me, it was too empty. But I said yes to this trip because of one reason, Jason. Jason was my roommate back then, and honestly, one of the few people I trusted. Real solid dude. The kind who remembered your birthday without Facebook reminders and always brought an extra granola bar for you, without acting like he was doing you a favor. So when he asked if I wanted to tag along for a weekend trip with his cousin and 2 of his high school friends up in the North Cascades, I said yeah. We were supposed to stay 3 nights near a lesser-known lake, a glacial pool called Lake Brevis. Google Maps showed a narrow dirt path off Highway 20 deep into the forest. The photos online were beautiful, untouched. The kind of place influencers slap filters on and pretend they discovered. We left Seattle late Thursday, stopped at an REI to grab bear spray and another Yeti cooler. Jason joked about serial killers. Imagine dying out here, bro. No one would even find your bones. I laughed. But that laugh, it didn't age well. We got to the trailhead by dusk. It was just us, 5 people. Jason, me, his cousin Riley, and Riley's 2 friends, Caleb and Jen. Riley had that loud energy that was fun at first, but annoying after dark. Caleb was quiet. Too quiet. And Jen was cool, sarcastic, wore a Black Sabbath hoodie and carried a real knife in her boot. Not for show. The first night felt fine, normal even. We cracked beers, set up tents, and built a fire that was a little too big. Riley told a story about a guy who went missing from a nearby lake last summer. Vanished. Like he walked off the face of the earth. Search dogs found his scent half a mile into the woods and then, poof, gone. Jason tossed a marshmallow at him and said, "Save it for your podcast, dude." We laughed again, but I remember feeling eyes that night. You know what I mean? That itch between your shoulders. I figured it was just paranoia. Sleep came slow, but it came. The second day, things changed. It started with the missing hatchet. Jason's Gerber camp axe gone. He swore he left it leaning against the tree by our fire pit. We tore the place up looking for it. Nothing. It wasn't like it rolled downhill. It was just not there. Then there were the prints. They weren't ours. Smaller, barefoot, human. I saw them first. Leading just past the tree line, maybe 10 feet from our tents. I thought it was a prank at first, Jason maybe, or Riley. But the look Jason gave me when I showed him, he went pale. We all agreed not to say anything to Riley or Jen. No point freaking people out, right? But Jen already knew. That night, after everyone else passed out, I stepped out to pee. She was sitting by the fire alone, knife on her knee, no beer, just watching the dark. "You saw the prints too," she said, her voice low. I nodded. "They're not yours, not mine. That means someone's out there." We didn't sleep much that night. The third day, Riley was gone. We found his boots near the shore. Just the boots. Socks stuffed inside. Nothing else. No note, no sign of a struggle. No splashes. No screams. Just gone. We searched for hours, yelling his name until our voices cracked. No cell service, no roads, just trees and water and silence, and those fucking footprints. There were more of them now, circling the tents, close, too close. Bare feet, dirty soles. Some stepped over our cooler. Someone had opened it, taken just one apple, and zipped it shut again. I swear to God I'm not making this up. And still, no one else would believe how bad it felt. That kind of silence, it presses in, like you're underwater, like something's watching and smiling and just waiting for you to make the next move. Jason started to unravel that night, muttering to himself, holding the bear spray like it was a lifeline. He kept whispering, "We shouldn't have come here. It knows we're here." I wanted to tell him to shut up, to stop scaring me, but deep down, I believed him. And then came the smell, meat, rotting meat. But there was no meat in the camp, just us, and maybe something else, something walking barefoot through the trees. I remember the first thing I felt when I woke up wasn't fear, it was heat. A cold sweat clinging to my back like I'd slept on hot pavement, but the air was freezing. I sat up too fast and smacked my head on the roof of my tent. The sky was still dark, somewhere between night and dawn, and Jason was gone. I called his name, once, twice. My voice came out thin, like it didn't want to travel. The trees swallowed it. Then I saw it. The zipper of Jason's tent was open, not like unzipped and pulled back, no. It was torn, ripped down the middle like someone had no patience. The canvas flapped lightly in the breeze. I crawled out of mine, my fingers tingling. Jen's tent was still zipped, but hers had a smear of something dark across it. I squinted. Mud? Blood? No. It smelled metallic, like old pennies. "Jen," I whispered, then louder. "Jen!" She unzipped the flap fast, knife already in her hand. Her eyes were wild. She didn't say anything, just looked past me, over my shoulder, like she expected something to be standing behind me. She didn't relax, not even a little. "Where's Jason?" she asked. "I don't know. His tent's trashed." She came out, still barefoot, and walked straight to it. Didn't hesitate. I followed, even though my gut screamed not to. Inside Jason's tent, chaos. His sleeping bag was sliced open, his clothes shredded like someone was looking for something. His flashlight lay cracked in the corner, bulb shattered, but no blood, no body. Just a note, folded once, shoved under his flattened pillow. Jen picked it up with the tip of her blade. There were only 5 words written in shaky, ugly capital letters. "Don't move. It likes that." I want to say we did something smart next. Packed up. Got out. But we didn't. Not right away. Because when you're that far gone, that deep in it, you still cling to stupid logic. Maybe he just wandered off. Maybe it's a prank. Let's wait for daylight. Jen didn't buy it. I could tell. She didn't say much, but she pulled out her topo map, traced it with her finger in the weak beam of her headlamp. "We can cut across the ridge," she said, "skip the long trail, get to the road in 6 miles, maybe less." "And Riley?" I asked. She didn't answer, just shoved the map away. We tried to wake Caleb. That was the next horror, because when we opened his tent, he was still there, but he wasn't okay. His eyes were wide open, not blinking, just staring up. He was alive, technically, breathing, but gone. His hands were bound, not tightly, just weirdly, twine around his wrists, a knot so clumsy it looked childish. There was something scrawled on his chest in Sharpie, shaky and dark. Stay, stay, stay. That's when I threw up. We didn't wait for sunrise. We didn't even pack. We left our gear, our food, everything. Jen grabbed her knife and shoved her boots on. I yanked my phone out, desperate, stupid enough to hope for a signal. Still nothing. We left Caleb. Don't judge me. You weren't there. Every sound in that forest, every bird, every twig snap, was a gunshot to my nerves. Jen walked fast. Too fast. We followed the ridge, climbing upward. Roots grabbed at our feet. Branches whipped our faces. I didn't ask where we were going. I didn't want to know. An hour in, we found the dolls. 5 of them. Rag dolls. Hanging from a tree. Nooses made of the same kind of twine wrapped around Caleb's wrists. Each had a red X where the mouth should be. They swayed in unison. No wind. Jen didn't stop. She didn't even look at them for long. We're being hunted, she said, like she was saying we were out of granola. Flat. Cold. I wanted to argue. Tell her that was insane. But then we heard the whistle. It came from behind. A low 2-note whistle. Slow. Deliberate. It didn't echo. It just hovered. We started running. I don't know how long we ran. My lungs were on fire. My legs barely worked. At some point, I lost a shoe. Didn't matter. My socks soaked through, my toes frozen. I didn't care. We finally stopped in a clearing, wide, dead silent. The kind of silence that feels wrong. Jen leaned against a tree, panting, clutching her knife like a lifeline. Then she whispered, "Don't look. Just listen." I froze. There's someone in the trees. She was right, not footsteps, not breathing. Something worse. Laughter, high-pitched, giddy, like a child playing hide and seek, like it was having fun. I wish I could describe the laugh better. Not just what it sounded like, but how it felt, like it slithered into your ear and then stayed there, crawling around. It wasn't loud, not even close. That was the worst part. It was quiet, gleeful, and so wrong. Jen's grip on her knife tightened until her knuckles turned white. She didn't blink. I was still trying to catch my breath, one shoe off, my ankle already swollen from God knows what. But all I could focus on was that laugh. Then it stopped. And for a few seconds it was almost worse. Nothing moved. I whispered, "What the hell is that?" Jen didn't answer. She just grabbed my arm and started walking, fast. No trail, no compass, just raw instinct and whatever fight or flight thing was keeping her upright. I followed. Of course I followed. We didn't talk. We didn't cry. We didn't even breathe loud. Every few minutes we'd stop, just long enough to listen. The forest didn't sound alive anymore. No birds, no insects, just wind and wood creaking. And once, a long, dragging sound, like something being pulled over leaves and sticks, something heavy. Then we heard the scream, not Jason, not Riley. A woman's voice, high, shrill, panicked. Jen's eyes snapped toward it. She hesitated. I said, "What if it's not real?" She cut me off. "Don't respond. Just keep moving." I didn't ask how she knew. I just nodded. Sometime after that, maybe an hour, maybe two, we stumbled across a campsite. Not ours. Someone else's. Older. There were 3 tents collapsed and rotting. A rusted Coleman stove, half buried in dirt. Mouldy cans of beans torn open with something sharp. One tent still had stuff inside. A pack, a blanket, a ripped North Face jacket. I remember thinking how weird it was that no one ever mentioned other people disappearing up here. Then I saw the tree. It was thick, black bark, in the center of the clearing. At eye level, someone had nailed something to it. A piece of driftwood carved with letters. "You can't hide from people who live in the dark." Jen tore it down and threw it. "They leave these," she said. "They like watching us find them." They. I didn't ask. I couldn't. We didn't rest. Just grabbed what we could. A small flashlight. A half-full bottle of iodine drops. Some beef jerky that might not have been expired. The sun was starting to bleed through the trees, but it brought no comfort. It just made the shadows sharper. That's when we saw the camera. Hung high on a tree just above the wrecked tents, mounted with zip ties. The lens was pointed down toward where we stood, and the light was blinking. Recording. Jesus. I backed up. Jen didn't. She climbed the tree fast like she'd done it before, yanked the camera down and smashed it against the ground. The pieces scattered across moss and needles. I asked her finally, "What the fuck do you know about this place?" She didn't meet my eyes. There are groups, off-grid, survivalist types, but some of them, they're not just paranoid. They're broken, twisted. They don't stockpile food, they stockpile people. You've seen this before? Not here, but yeah. That's when the walkie-talkie in her pack crackled. We both froze. It shouldn't have worked. No signal, no towers. But someone was on the other end. There was no voice at first. Just breathing. Then came the words, slow, drawn out, too calm. "Come back. He's lonely." "Jason." I grabbed the walkie and screamed into it. "Where is he? What do you want?" The response? A giggle, then static, then silence. Jen ripped the batteries out and threw the thing into the woods. "We can't go back," she said. I almost punched her. What if he's alive? What if they still have him? She just looked at me. Her eyes were red, ringed with exhaustion and terror. "That's the point." "What?" "They want you to come back." We kept walking. I limped, dragging my foot like dead weight. Jen took the lead, always. She was a machine. I don't know how. The adrenaline had to be burning out, but she kept going. Just before sunset, we found the van. A rusted, dark green panel van. No plates. Parked between the trees like it had grown there. Its back doors were wide open. Inside, chains, ropes, duct tape. A single Polaroid picture taped to the wall. It was us. Me. Jason, Riley, Caleb, Jen. Taken from a distance. From the woods. We hadn't even known anyone was there. That's when I broke. I sat down in the dirt and started crying. Jen didn't say anything for a while. Then finally, "We're gonna burn it." I looked up. "What?" We're going to torch it. Then we move. No more hiding. I helped. We found old camping fuel in the abandoned site earlier. She poured it all over the van's interior, careful not to get any on herself. We lit it with one of the few matches we had left. The fire was bright, too bright. And as it burned, I swear I saw something in the distance. Figures, 4, maybe 5, standing still between the trees, watching, smiling. We ran, again. And this time they followed. Their whistles echoed behind us, always 2 notes, always mocking, like lullabies twisted into threats. The sun set fast, too fast, and the darkness swallowed everything. I stumbled, fell. Jen pulled me up. We didn't stop, because behind us, now, they weren't just watching, they were coming. We ran blind. Branches tore at our faces, roots grabbed at our ankles. Every breath felt like fire in my lungs. I couldn't tell if my tears were from pain or fear or both. All I knew was I had to keep going. Behind us, the whistles kept coming. That same 2-note pattern, over and over. And the worst part, they never sounded any closer. That meant they were toying with us. Jen led us downhill, off the ridge. I don't think she knew where we were anymore. The terrain shifted. More rocks, less forest. The air turned damp. We hit a stream and followed it. Didn't matter where it led. We needed something between us and them. I slipped and slammed my hip against a boulder. Screamed. Jen turned, yanked me up, half-dragged me. Her strength scared me more than the pain. "Keep going," she muttered. "They don't kill fast." "What?" "They don't kill fast." We finally stopped when we reached a rocky outcrop by the water. The stream widened into a pool, maybe part of a river, maybe a spring. I couldn't tell. I collapsed against the stone, panting, dizzy. My ankle was useless, swollen like a grapefruit, skin torn. Jen knelt beside me. She finally looked scared, not panicked, not broken, just scared. "We can't outrun them like this." I nodded. I couldn't speak. I felt like throwing up. My mouth was dry and coated with dirt. She opened her pack, took out a small orange flare. I didn't even realize she'd brought one. "They'll see it," I said. She shook her head. "That's the point." "You're signaling them?" She didn't answer, just lit it. The flare hissed and bloomed into angry red light. It lit up the trees, the rocks, the water. It lit up the figure on the other side of the stream. I screamed. It was a man, but barely. Naked, except for a tarp wrapped around his waist like a makeshift kilt. His skin was filthy, crusted with scabs and dirt. His eyes glowed in the flare light. His teeth, too many teeth, were bared in a grin. He didn't move, just stood there, staring. Jen didn't blink. "That's one of them." "How many?" "Too many." Then he laughed. It wasn't the same laugh as before. This one was deeper, mocking, a full-bodied cackle that sent chills down my spine. He crouched, fast, like an animal about to spring, but he didn't. He turned and disappeared into the trees. "Why didn't he cross?" I whispered. Jen looked at the stream. "They don't like water." "What?" "They don't like to get wet. It ruins something. The scent. Or the game. Game." I almost vomited again. We stayed there until the flare burned out. The darkness closed in fast. Jen stayed awake. I didn't mean to sleep, but exhaustion crushed me. My body couldn't take more. I woke to a whisper right by my ear. I like the sound you make when you cry. I shot up. There was no one next to me. Jen was gone. I screamed her name. Nothing. Then I saw it. On the rock where she'd been sitting. Her knife, her pack, and a small hand-drawn map. X's all over it. A note scribbled in the margin. If I'm not back by dawn, follow this, keep moving, don't scream. Don't drink the lake water, I wanted to fall apart. Just give up. Let them find me. But something in me, something primal, kicked in. I took her knife, her pack. I stuffed the map in my shirt, and I limped into the dark alone. I didn't make it far before I found the doll. It was nailed to a tree, but this time it looked different. Its face had been torn off, and there was something tied to its chest. A human finger, still fresh. I kept going. I didn't sleep again. Couldn't. By sunrise, I hit a dirt road, old, faded tire tracks, not used in years. But it was something. I followed it with the sun behind me. Hours passed. No sign of Jen. No sign of Jason or Riley or Caleb. No sign of them. But I knew they were still watching. Always watching. And the worst part? The road didn't end. It looped. I walked until I saw the same torn tree, the same mossy rock, the same doll. I was back where I started. I wasn't lost. I was trapped. I didn't scream, I wanted to. My throat burned with it. But I remembered Jen's note, don't scream. I pressed my fist to my mouth and tried to breathe. My legs gave out and I crumpled next to the tree with the doll. I stared at it. That eyeless, mouthless rag face stitched to the bark like a threat. The finger still dangled from twine, red ants crawling across it. Someone had written something below it, etched into the bark with a knife. You're fun. I didn't feel real anymore. Just a shape being pushed through the woods by fear and momentum. My body was cracked porcelain, my head fog and static. But I stood. I limped. One foot dragged like a sack of wet bones. I didn't know where I was going. The map was useless now, the trails didn't match reality. The road curved into itself like a trap. And then it got quiet. Too quiet. No birds, no wind, no branches creaking. No distant footsteps. Just nothing. That's when I saw Jason. He was standing in the middle of a clearing, alive, barefoot, shirtless. His jeans were soaked to the knees. His arms were limp at his sides, and he wasn't blinking. "Jason," I whispered. He turned, slow, mechanical. When he saw me, he smiled, too wide, too clean. That wasn't Jason's smile. He stepped forward. "Hey man," he said, casual, voice chipper. "You made it." I backed up. "Jason, what happened to you?" He laughed. Not like before, not like them. This laugh was hollow, memorized. "Dude," he said, You wouldn't believe it. I met these people, off-gridders, super chill. They just want to live simply, away from tech, from poison, from the noise. He stepped closer. I saw now. His pupils were pinpricks. His lips were chapped raw. There were bruises all over his arms. "Jason, we have to go," I said. "Now." He tilted his head. "Go where? This is paradise." Then he looked past me. "Right?" I turned. They were there, 4 of them, standing in the trees watching. One wore a deer skull, another had no shirt, just lines of red across his chest. One was wrapped in black trash bags. The last one, shorter, had a gas mask and a machete. None of them moved. Jason turned back to me. "They want to show you something." I ran. I don't know how I got away. I should have been dead. But adrenaline is a hell of a drug. I sprinted through trees, leapt over roots. My ankles screamed with every step. I didn't care. I heard them crashing behind me, heard their laughter again. Closer now. Urgent. At one point I tripped and fell hard. My face slammed into pine needles and I tasted blood. I reached for Jen's knife. Gone. Then I heard a voice. "Keep your head down." I froze. Something grabbed my arm, yanked me sideways into a crevice between rocks. Hands over my mouth. Someone else. Not them. A girl. She looked maybe 20, filthy, scratched to hell, clothes in rags, hair matted with twigs and blood. She didn't speak again, just held me there, breathing fast but quiet. She had a hunting knife and eyes like someone who hadn't slept in weeks. We lay there for what felt like an hour. The whistles came and went. Once the trash bag man passed 5 feet from her. He sniffed the air like a dog. Then he was gone. She finally spoke. "They keep you when you're young, hunt you when you're older." "Who are they?" I croaked. She didn't answer right away. Then, "They were people. Before. Where's Jen?" "Your friend. She made it to the road." Or, "That's what they want you to think." "What do they want?" "They think this is a game. It's not about survival. It's about breaking you. They play until you're not human anymore. Then they let you join." "Join what?" She didn't say, just looked at me with pity. "You're almost there." We moved after dark. She led me through the forest like she'd mapped it out in blood. We avoided the trails, the dolls, the watchers. We stayed low and silent. We reached a creek and followed it downstream. That's when I saw the lake again. Brevis. The same blue water, still, empty, ice cold. But something floated near the edge. A body, tied to a post in the shallows. Arms spread, face down, skin pale. Jason. Really Jason this time. No smile, no monologue. Just a corpse. His fingers had been broken, teeth removed. On his back, carved into flesh. Good try. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. I couldn't cry. The girl touched my shoulder. "You're still breathing. That means you still have a choice." "What choice?" I asked. She didn't answer. Because something whistled right behind us. The whistle came again. Low, taunting, deliberate. That 2-note signal that would be etched in my skull for the rest of my life. It sounded so close I could feel it in my spine. The girl spun, knife ready. Her expression wasn't scared, It was resigned. "They found us," she whispered. "Run. You still can." I grabbed her arm. "Not without you." But she shook her head, eyes already scanning the tree line. "They won't chase me. I'm already theirs." And then she pushed me hard down the slope toward the lake. I tumbled, slid on loose gravel and pine needles, gasping, clawing at the ground. When I stopped, I looked up, and she was gone. Just gone. Like she'd never been there. I ran, no more hiding, no more trying to figure things out, just instinct and terror. The lake glistened beside me, black and glassy in the moonlight. I didn't dare touch it. I remembered the note, "Don't drink the lake water." I didn't want to know why. Ahead I saw a clearing. A break in the trees, the dirt gave way to gravel, then, miraculously, to pavement. A road. A real one. Not the looping phantom from earlier. This had faded lines, a busted guardrail, signs, civilization. I collapsed on the shoulder, sobbing, barely able to breathe. My legs were useless. My body screamed. But I was out. I was out. It was a truck driver who found me sometime near dawn. I don't remember what I said. I think I cried in his lap. I think I passed out. Next thing I knew, I was in a hospital. IV in my arm. Bright lights, questions. So many questions. I told them what happened. About Jason, Riley, Caleb, Jen, the girl in the woods. They didn't believe a word of it. Search teams went out. Found our campsite, burned and ransacked. Found the lake. Found Riley's boots. That's it. No Jason. No Jen. No bodies. No trash bag men. No dolls. Just a forest that looked a little too clean. Weeks passed. I stayed with family. Went to therapy. Tried to get back to normal. But here's the thing. You don't come back from that. You live with it. You wake up at 3 a.m. thinking you hear whistling. You stop hiking. Stop camping. Stop trusting tree lines. You keep your windows shut no matter how hot it gets. And you never go near a lake again. Because I know what I saw. I know what's still out there. And I know this. They don't always kill you. Sometimes they let you go. So you can tell people. So they can listen. So they can come looking. And maybe, this time, they'll come for you. A figure crawled across the campsite on all fours. I wasn't going to talk about this. Hell, I tried everything not to. Therapy, booze. I even deleted all my camping apps and threw out my gear. Yeti cooler, MSR stove. My entire REI purchase life. But it keeps scratching at the back of my mind. I see it in dreams, and sometimes in reflections. So yeah, here goes. Don't read this at night. Don't go alone into the woods, especially not the Cascades. 3 summers ago, my buddy Cal convinced me to do a solo camping trip with him. Yeah, solo but together, 2 sites, spaced a bit apart. It was his dumb idea for us to reconnect with self before we both turned 30. We picked a spot miles off the grid, past where even the trail markers look forgotten. No service, no people, just pine and wind and silence so thick it feels alive. The drive-in was uneventful until we passed this rusted-out trailer. buried in the trees about a half-mile from the logging road. Windows busted, something hanging from the door, maybe a pelt. We laughed, made deliverance jokes, moved on. Camped that night next to Glacier Creek, both of us in our own cheap Walmart tents. Ate some freeze-dried pad thai, passed a flask, then said goodnight around 11. That first night was normal, maybe too normal. Stillness so complete it made you feel like you were being watched just for breathing. I shrugged it off. Second day I found footprints around my tent. Not mine, not boot prints either, barefoot. At first I thought maybe Cal was messing with me. He's got a twisted sense of humour. But when I asked, he just gave me this blank look and said, "Dude, what? I haven't even been near your site." We both laughed it off, but I noticed his hands were shaking a little when he poured his coffee. He tried to cover it by talking about some girl back home he ghosted. I let it go. That night I couldn't sleep. There was this smell, like wet dog and meat. Rotten meat. I zipped up tighter in my bag and told myself it was probably a dead raccoon or something. But then I heard it. The sound of something crawling, not walking, crawling, on all fours, circling my tent. I held my breath. Whatever it was, it scraped the nylon with its nails, real slow, like it wanted me to know it was there. I didn't move, didn't even dare blink. Then it whispered something. I swear to God it whispered, in a voice that wasn't right, like a child trying to imitate an adult, or someone learning English phonetically. "Come. Out." And then it laughed. That's when I pissed myself. Not even ashamed. By morning, the footprints were back, closer this time, and Cal was gone. I didn't panic at first. I told myself maybe Cal went for a walk. He liked those early morning hikes, said it cleared his head. But by noon, there was still no sign of him. His tent was zipped up and untouched, gear still inside, even his battered old camelback, and the half roll of toilet paper he kept clipped to his bag like a weirdo. The only thing missing was him. I called his name, yelled it actually, over and over until my throat hurt. The forest just swallowed the sound. No echo, no birds, nothing. It was like the woods had taken a vow of silence. Then I noticed something else. A trail. Not a real one. More like something dragged through the underbrush. Branches snapped. Pine needles matted down. It was headed away from our sights toward the denser woods behind that creepy old trailer we passed on the way in. And the smell from the night before, it was back. Stronger, closer. I grabbed the only real weapon I had, a hatchet, and followed the path. The deeper I went, the more wrong everything felt. Not scary in the supernatural sense, just off. You know when your gut's screaming but your brain is trying to be the adult in the room? That was me, every single step. About 300 yards in, I found one of Cal's hiking boots. Just sitting there, upright, laces tied, a smear of blood on the toe. Still, I didn't run. I kept going. I should have run. The trail ended in a clearing. Not natural, someone made it. Logs arranged into crude seats around a blackened fire pit, like some backwoods campout from hell. Pieces of clothes hanging in the trees, faded and sun-bleached. Cal's hoodie ripped at the sleeve, tied to a branch, but it was the cabin that did it. Yeah, a cabin. Not on any map, not even visible from above. I checked later. It was low, squatting, built like it didn't want to be found. Tin roof, blacked out windows and this god-awful stench seeping from the cracks. Smelled like rust, mold, and old blood. I should have turned back, but I thought he might be in there. I circled it, keeping low. No movement, no sound, just the wind whistling low through a shattered pane and a wet thud every few seconds, like something dripping. There was a door, barely hanging on its hinges. I stepped inside. The floor was covered in old newspapers, mouldy, blood-stained, piles of clothes, a torn sleeping bag, a bunch of Polaroids nailed to the wall, faces caught mid-scream, most of them smeared or burned at the edges. Then I saw it, a camcorder. It was pointed at the center of the room, tripod half buried in a mound of dirty socks and wrappers. I reached for it. The second my fingers touched it, something shifted under the floorboards. I froze. Then something whispered from the shadows behind me. "You shouldn't have come alone." I spun. No one there. But a handprint had appeared on the dusty wall, fresh, wet. I bolted. Didn't think. Just ran. Crashed through brush, sliced my leg open on something, tore my jacket to shreds on branches. I didn't stop until I got back to camp. And when I did, my tent was shredded, like something with claws had torn through it. My cooler was smashed. My phone, gone. And scrawled into the dirt in shaky letters were the words, "Stay tonight. See him again." I'll continue with part 3 if you're ready. I should have kept running. Should have just bolted down the logging road and never looked back. But I didn't. Because of that one sick sentence scratched in the dirt like some invitation to hell. Stay tonight. See him again. It was Cal. Had to be. Right? I told myself maybe he was injured. Maybe someone had him and this was their way of negotiating. I don't know. My brain was mush. I spent the rest of the afternoon trying to reinforce what was left of my tent using paracord and duct tape. Useless. The thing was beyond salvaging, sliced clean in places like with a hunting knife. I ended up moving my gear into Cal's tent, which was still somehow untouched, almost like they'd wanted me to use it. I built a fire even though the sun was still high. Big one. Used all the wood I had. I sat with the hatchet on my lap, shaking. I didn't eat. Couldn't. Every sound made me jump. The wind, the creak of trees, the far-off rustling that never came close enough to see. As the sun dipped behind the peaks, the cold set in. Real mountain cold, sharp, sudden, biting. I piled on everything I had. A flannel, my rain shell, an emergency blanket wrapped around my legs like a shroud. And then, the woods went quiet. Not nighttime quiet. Wrong quiet. No wind. No owls. Even the bugs shut the hell up. I leaned forward. Every hair on my body was standing. Then I saw it. Across the fire, just beyond the edge of the light. Something moved. It didn't walk. It crawled. Low to the ground, fast and smooth, almost like a spider, but human. Pale limbs catching bits of firelight. Elbows bending the wrong way. It stopped just at the edge of the circle. I couldn't see the face, just its posture, like it was watching, waiting. I didn't move. I couldn't. Then it spoke. Same voice from the cabin, too high, too deliberate. He wanted to leave, so we opened him up. My stomach dropped. It shifted closer, still low, still not fully in the light. Another voice came from behind me, this one deeper, hoarser, like someone speaking through a throat that hadn't been used in years. "Do you want to see him?" I turned. There were two now, and both of them moved like they didn't belong in their bodies, like they'd worn them too long and the skin was tired of holding them in. One of them held something up, a piece of blue fabric, torn, blood-stained, Cal's hoodie sleeve. I finally screamed, swung the hatchet in a blind arc, hit something, heard a wet grunt. Then I grabbed my flashlight, ditched the pack, and ran. Again. But this time they followed. I heard them behind me crashing through brush, laughing. Not chasing to catch, chasing to play. I must have run a mile, maybe two. No idea how I didn't snap an ankle in the dark, just my flashlight bobbing and that awful laughter echoing between the trees. Eventually, I lost them, or maybe they let me go. I ended up back at the trailhead, slept in the back seat of my Subaru with the doors locked, keys clutched in my bleeding hands. Didn't even close my eyes. By sunrise, I was gone. I didn't tell the cops. Didn't report Cal missing. Because how do you explain something like that? How do you say, "I left my friend in the woods," and something else came back wearing his voice? I didn't drive straight home. I parked in a Safeway lot 3 towns over and sat there for hours, shivering under a crusted blanket, staring at my cracked phone screen, unsure if I should call someone, anyone. My hands were still stained with dirt and dried blood. The image of that thing, those things, crawling out of the tree line wouldn't leave me. I couldn't even say for sure if they were human, or if they used to be. I didn't sleep, couldn't eat, just sat there until the sun was too high and I was too numb to keep doing nothing. Eventually, I drove, not home, to Cal's place. I had his keys. Don't ask why, it was a weird roommate thing. We'd exchanged spares years ago when we were both dating people and crashing at each other's places a lot. His apartment was on the 3rd floor of a complex in Spokane. I let myself in. It was like he'd just stepped out. Coffee mug in the sink, half-eaten Cliff Bar on the counter, hiking boots still by the door. His jacket hung over the chair like he'd be back in a minute. But he wouldn't. That's what made it so much worse. I sat on his couch for a long time, trying to decide what the hell I was going to do. Tell his sister? Call the cops now and lie about when I last saw him? Say he wandered off, maybe slipped and fell? Say I searched and couldn't find him? But I didn't move. Because that's when I noticed the smell. That same smell. Wet dog, meat, decay. It was faint, not strong like in the woods, but it was there, in his apartment. I checked every room, bedroom, bathroom, even the damn closet. Nothing. But I knew it. I knew it. Something had been there. I left fast. Didn't even lock the door behind me. After that, I tried to live like none of it happened. I quit hiking, sold my gear on Craigslist, blocked all our mutual camping buddies and ghosted a few group chats, got a job that kept me busy and tired, tried to date, failed, cried in the shower more than I care to admit, and then the photos started. At first, they came through my apartment door, slipped under the crack like they were hand-delivered. No return address, just Polaroids. Grainy, low-light shots. The first few were of me, sleeping. One was through the window of my second-story apartment, another from the crack of my bedroom door. I changed my locks, bought cameras, nothing. Then the pictures changed. They weren't of me anymore. They were of Cal, or something wearing him. A figure blurred, standing outside a gas station at night. Another of him, or it, half-turned in a crowd at Pike Place Market. One shot was close, too close. His face smiling, but the eyes weren't right. They were glassy, doll-like. There was a note scrawled on the back in red marker. He says you never came back, but we remember. I started seeing things, glimpses of something crawling behind parked cars, a reflection in a storefront window, always low to the ground, always watching. Then, last week, I got another photo. This one was different. It was a shot of my old tent, the one from the Cascade trip, still shredded, still standing, same exact setup. But this time there was something inside it, just a silhouette, on all fours. And the note this time, camp again, will let you remember. I didn't decide to go back, not really. It was more like something decided for me, like every step I took, every sleepless night, every shadow that moved just a little too slow was pushing me in one direction. Back to the Cascade Woods, back to the place where something snapped and never got put back right. The final shove came in the form of a package. No label, just a crumpled REI box left on my doorstep. Inside, my hatchet, the same one I'd dropped during that blind panic through the trees, still caked with dirt and something darker. Tied to the handle was a strip of duct tape, scribbled with the same jagged handwriting, "He still waits." I don't remember packing, I just remember driving. Windows down, music off, nothing but the rumble of tires and the rising sickness in my gut. I got back to the trailhead near dusk. Everything looked the same, exactly the same. The same warped wooden marker, the same moss growing like veins across the stones. Even the same goddamn rusted-out trailer half hidden in the brush, like a tumor no one talks about. I didn't bother with gear, just the hatchet, a flashlight, a pocket knife. No tent this time. I walked in. Every step I took felt heavier, like the air itself didn't want me there. Like the trees were leaning in a little too much, watching, listening. Then I saw the light. It was faint, flickering, coming from my old campsite. I approached slow, knees trembling. The fire pit was back, freshly built, wood stacked neatly, a small flame dancing like someone had just lit it. And then I saw him, Cal, sitting by the fire, back turned, same hoodie, same haircut, same relaxed slump of his shoulders. "Cal," I croaked. He didn't move. I stepped closer. "Dude, is it really?" He turned his head slightly, and I froze. The back of his hoodie was soaked in black, matted. The hair at his neck was crusted with something that caught the firelight and shone wet. His neck, where it met the shoulder, was bent just a bit too far, like it had been reattached by someone who didn't know how joints worked. Still, he spoke. I waited. His voice was hollow, like it came from his chest, not his throat. His lips barely moved. "You ran." Jesus, Cal, I thought you were dead. I thought they gave me a choice. he whispered, turning fully now. And that's when I saw his face. Oh God. They hadn't taken him. They'd kept him, stretched his skin into a mask of what he used to be. The eyes weren't his, too wide, too still. The mouth smiled, but the muscles twitched underneath like something else was wearing the smile for practice. You can stay now, he said, or whatever was pretending to be him, just for one night. And from the trees they came, crawling, dozens low to the ground, limbs contorted, faces wrong, stitched together like they were wearing each other, laughing. I turned, ran again. Branches cut my face, the forest screamed with movement behind me, but I didn't stop until I hit my car. I drove until my fingers cramped around the wheel. And when I got home, the fire alarm was going off, not because of smoke, because someone had turned all the burners on, left a Polaroid on the stove. It was me, sleeping, again, and scrawled across the bottom, "You left him twice." I haven't slept since that night. Not really. I close my eyes and I hear them, crawling, breathing, whispering in that too sweet, too fake way, like someone trying to be human but forgetting how vowels work. I moved. New apartment. High rise. No balcony, no trees in sight. Didn't matter. The Polaroids kept coming, slid under my door, left inside my fridge. One was taped to the ceiling above my bed. The latest one, me again. But not asleep. This time I was screaming, mouth stretched wide, eyes rolled back. Something behind me crawling out from under the bed. They're not even pretending anymore. I tried telling someone, a friend, my sister. They listened, kind of, nodded, said I needed help. I agreed. Went to a psychiatrist. They diagnosed me with trauma-induced hallucinations. I nodded, took the meds, swallowed them in front of the nurse, then flushed the rest when I got home, because I know what I saw. I know what I keep seeing. And last night, it got worse. I woke up to scratching, not outside, inside, from the walls, the floorboards, the air vents. I grabbed the hatchet. Yes, I still have it. I'm not stupid. When the scratching stopped, I stepped into the hallway. That's when I saw the dirt, matted into the carpet, footprints, bare, leading to my living room. I followed, and sitting on my couch was Cal, again, smiling, like he never left. "You ready now?" he asked, tilting his head like a dog too curious for its own good. And all around him, figures, on all fours, filling the room, crawling along the walls, hanging from the ceiling like spiders in human skin. I backed away, but the door was gone. I swear, it was just gone. He stood up, jerked toward me. One movement at a time, like someone dragging a puppet by invisible strings. "Third time's the charm," he whispered, breath hot against my face. Then everything went black. I woke up this morning on the floor, hatchet gone, front door wide open, and in the center of my living room, a tent. My tent, shredded, set up perfectly. Inside it, a Polaroid. Me sitting by the fire and scribbled in red, "Welcome back, camper." So here's the deal. If you're reading this, don't try to find me. Don't go hiking alone. Don't explore those empty trails where no one screams and no one listens. because they're out there, still crawling, still waiting. And the worst part, they remember everything, even you.